today. And
hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeremy Remo, aka Fem Physique Fan, and this is the first of what I'm hoping is many episodes of a new show here called Femuscle Friday. This is going to be a online discussion platform where people who are fans and also competitors in women's bodybuilding and women's physique are able to get together and discuss things and news of the day, and as well as all things related to those two divisions: training, dieting, posing, competing, etc. We've got as far as I know, we've got a big show. I right now have 4 guests in the backstage in the studio here, and I believe we're going to be having at least 2, if not 3 more. So I'll go ahead and introduce people. First, she is a IFBB Women's Physique Pro. She has taken some time off from competing, about 4 years, but she's going to be coming back at the Clash Series coming up. IFBB Pro Trish Wood.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome. We also have IFBB Pro who competed at the Titans Grand Prix recently and placed 6th in women's bodybuilding. She is the Jedi posing master, Janine Lankowski. Welcome.
Hi,
Also having competed at the Titans Grand Prix and WPB recently, we also have IFBB Pro Lori Conley. Welcome, Lori. Thank you for coming. And then finally, we've got the big guy himself. His wife, Tina, competed at the Titans Grand Prix, placed 4th in women's bodybuilding. He's a big advocate and supporter of women's bodybuilding and women's physique. He is a judge. He also competed at the Legion Pro in Open and Masters Pro men's bodybuilding. Big Keith Williams. Welcome.
How are you
Welcome
guys?
to everybody.
How are you guys?
Doing okay. Week ended yesterday, so I'm so glad we're on our we're on our 3-day weekend. So I hope that I'm able to do more of these, because unfortunately they like to screw with my schedule at my job. So I'm hoping to be more consistent with these. So real quick, just let everybody know how each one of you are doing. Trish, yeah, how are things where you're at? You're currently at your gym, and that's Iron Addiction, and you've had that for how long?
I'm about to start my 15th year.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah, opened in 2010. Yeah.
Janine is recovering from the hurricane down there in Florida. She showed us a picture of her backyard. I was like, oh my God. She showed us how high the water got. And I was like, oh my goodness. I saw that and I was like, I'm in the Midwest, so I get tornadoes, but I don't know if I'd ever be able to survive a hurricane. So what I'd like to have as the topic to start discussion is what just happened recently. I just found out about this. This was Keith and I tend to be frequent guests over on another guy's podcast, All the Rage George Page. And for those of you listening who are in the chat and also online, by all means, check him out. He's done like 210 of shows like this. His show is Muscle Talk Mondays, and Keith and I were there just recently. And we found out this information from Betty Pariso. And let me give you some background as to Betty first, for people who may watch this later on who have no idea who we're talking about. Betty Pariso is one of the legit goats of female bodybuilding, one of the greatest of all time. And she also is proof that age is just a number, because she started hardcore training in her early 30s. She started competing. Let's see if I can pull up her pictures here. Started competing at the age of 36 in 1992 and turned pro in 1996 when she won heavyweight and NPC nationals at the age of 40. She's the first woman in history ever to accomplish that. Then she had a pro career from 1997 to 2010, where she competed in no less than 35 pro shows, and in almost every one of those shows she placed in the top 6. She was an 11-time Miss International competitor and an 8-time Olympia competitor. And then she also has the distinction in 2009 of winning the Tampa Pro at the age of 53. So she's the very first female bodybuilder to do that. Big lady. Her contest weight was around 170, and her off-season weight hovered anywhere between 212 to 225. So
Wow.
she is a very big lady when she was competing. This was her signature pose, her most muscular, that she used as a tribute to Mike Mazzarato. And then she started getting, with her husband Ed, she started getting into promoting shows. With her company Texas Bodybuilding Contest, but then things started to change. She started to women's bodybuilding and women's physique started getting pulled from the shows, and then I believe this was as of last week, she came out with this video over on her IG.
Today, Ed and I are announcing that we are ending our 30-year affiliation with the NPC and the IFBB. We will no longer promote our events through the NPC and the IFBB. We love this sport and we love what we do. We have put over 50,000 competitors across our stages, and for 30 plus years, our names and our productions have been associated with integrity and strong ethics. So we are excited today to announce that we have created the World Beachbody Federation.
Betty and I created the WBBF for the thousands of athletes that feel like what is winning is extreme in every division. We want the best to win, not just the hardest or the biggest. The sport for us is an art form, and we want the most beautiful physiques in the world on our stages.
We have 6 basic divisions. For the women, we have beach bikini, fit bikini, and athletic bikini. And for the men, we have beach physique, fit physique, and athletic physique.
If you are a promoter, a pro, an influencer, a gym owner, or a supplement company and would like to put on a show, contact us at wbbfederation.com.
Okay, so that's what she apparently decided to cut ties with the IFBB and the NPC altogether. And she was asked by some people, said, can you give us an idea as far as what more specifics as to what these divisions are? And she said, go to the website. She's got pictures, divisions. And so I was able to download those. And this is what these divisions that she mentioned look like. This is, as far as I can tell, the lowest one, as far as apparently what I saw is basically bikini level muscularity, but with increasing hardness and conditioning. Is what I was seeing. So we've got the beach bikini division, which would be like the softest division. The next one up would be the fit bikini division, which just looks like would be regular bikini in NPC and IFB. And then the other one is athletic bikini, which looks more like wellness. And I just saw this and I was like, I gotta be honest, I was disappointed to hear this news. Because, this is someone, women's bodybuilding made her. It made who she was. She competed all those years in this division, and then after, for whatever reason, starts pulling the very division that made her out of shows. But now that she's decided to cut ties and do her own thing, it's like she's not just getting rid of that, she's getting rid of almost everybody. Including what would be considered figure, fitness, even wellness. So I'm like, what do all of you think about that? Since you're IFBB pros just like her, and you've all been involved in this for a long time, what do you think of that? Do you say more power to her? Do you think she's right? That there are things, because when she said she said the reason they did it was people were coming here and saying that things were, quote, extreme in every division. What do you think?
Can I talk here for this?
Go, yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to be really blunt and go, this is a fucking
This is a what? Sorry?
joke. It's totally a joke because that means that everybody can compete. And really not everybody can compete. You're an athlete because you choose to be an athlete, not to just get the attention on the stage. Does everybody agree with me on that? Like,
I agree. I was just, I thought it was very, I'm like, to each their own, of course. But I was like, you know, it's a giant bikini contest.
Mhm.
So that means 60% of your people are not going to, like, no, there's no room for anybody else. Like, you know, it just seems like they're sort of catering to where they think the money's going to come in from, which is just a giant bikini. But I agree with you.
It will fail. It will fail.
Keith's got the future already. Got the future already mapped.
It will
So
fail because so the statement that I'm getting from this is that the IFBB and the NPC is corrupt, and you know the integrity of which the sport we all compete in, the federation we all compete in, is corrupt, and there's no precedence to it because if you listen to his and her words, it's like they want to go in a different direction because it's too extreme, it's this, that, and other. So the words I'm hearing out of this is that our federation is corrupt, and that is not fair. And I'm like, what? Yeah, you're really going to say that? You know, to a woman who started the extreme of women's bodybuilding.
right,
That's pretty much a hypocritical statement.
Right. It's like, I look at this. That's not extreme. That right there is not extreme.
How many girls right now compete at 170 to whatever right now in the women's bodybuilding? That's what I want to know.
Right, exactly. So, Trish, what do you think?
You can probably see my face.
I mean, it's like,
And now, was that a mistake to ask, or
wrong crew.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, like, for me, I am not a big person. I'm 112 pounds, but I couldn't do her show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, she's ruling out a lot of people. But obviously, the majority of people, honestly, especially women, don't want to look like us. And that's fine. They won't. And they'll go to her show.
Exactly. It's natural.
Yeah.
It seems like she's running what basically she should just say, hey, we've decided to start a natural blah blah blah. Like she's we're too extreme, we're corrupt. Honestly, I think bodybuilding is probably one of the most I would say honest and open sports, pro sports in the world, as far as where everybody goes through. We're athletes and we're very open about. Most people these days are very open about what we do, how hard we train, and what we do, which most sportsers don't. So I just feel
We
like
just-
she's just
we
another
just got-
national federation.
we just got 2 new guests. One of them is IFBB Pro Maria Queenie Lieberman. Welcome, Maria. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then also joining us is the guy we've been talking about his podcast, Mr. Aldridge George Riggs. Welcome, George.
See everybody.
What's up, George?
Hello. How you doing? I can't be here too long. One of my interviews is going to be a little bit later, but I'll stay for a second. Then I have to head out. I just came here.
We've been talking about. Sorry, didn't mean to talk over you. I broke my own rules.
That's all right.
What we've been talking about, Maria and George, is Betty Pariso and her decision to start her new federation, and then breaking it down and showing basically gave some history as to her and what everybody here thought, and pretty much everybody is responding to it. It's like, what is this? So it's like Keith has flat out said that it's going to fail. So
hey, who tried to do this? Lee Thompson tried to do this.
Right, Inspire Sports League. Do people remember that? Just out of curiosity? Yeah. Because
IFBB on blast.
Wasn't long ago, Vince McMahon tried a WBBF, and that fell.
Oh, that was Paul Gillette. Wasn't it?
Yeah,
That's up in WBFF. That was in but he tried to go like as a fashion show or something along those lines, because it's like the
Costumes and shit.
the
Yeah.
competitors I saw, they were like wearing these really like the stuff that you'd find like in a Mardi Gras parade, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
Victoria's
okay,
Secret style.
right, and it's like so. Maria, can you hear
Yes.
us? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? So what's happened is Betty, who was longtime bodybuilder, one of the very best of all time, she decided to break away from the IFBB and the NPC altogether. She's founded her own federation called the World Beachbody Federation, and then let me go ahead and put those pictures up so that you can see. These are her divisions. They're all bikini, but they're in varying levels of hardness. Like here's the softest, beach bikini. Next hardest up is fit bikini. Then the next one up is athletic bikini. And that's where it ends. So something that would be along the lines of figure or fitness or physique or bodybuilding, it's not even there. And my take on it was she made her bones in women's bodybuilding. She was there for a long time, competing in 35 shows, but then decides to go in federation. But then she said that one of the reasons why she created this was that she claims that thousands of competitors came to her saying that the IFBB and NPC were, quote, extreme in every division. And that was one of the reasons why she decided to go this way. What do you think?
Mm.
Would you agree with Betty in that? Would you disagree? What would you say?
It's all business. I like symmetry. I like muscles. I think it's all about business, right? Because nowadays sometimes the super buff or super jack women, we are not accepted. Sometimes I find it like
Yeah.
when I go out, I don't fit in. But if I go with in the right event or in the right crowd, I totally fit in. So it's their preference. If people wants to compete in that federation, it's their call. But I think it's the people that are saying that we are so extreme, it's their take to all of us female goddess, you know? So that's what they want. Good, but we're as female goddess, muscular, we have a fan base that our fans love us, and we're not gonna stop being jacked because of that.
Amen.
Okay. Do you think Keith has basically made the observation that this is guaranteed to fail? Do you think that would be the case with something
Well,
based on what you saw, or do you think it's got? Because we were talking about Lee Thompson tried the same thing. He was a former Olympia judge who decided to break away along pretty much the same lines and tried his Inspire Sports League, but that fizzled and died
Remember that?
on the vine. So I'm just curious, do you think that something like that would have a better success rate? That's just the women's division.
I'm just raising my
Because
hand.
the men's divisions are, from what I saw, similar to that. So do you think it's got a chance, or do you think maybe that was a mistake?
no, there will be probably some people they will want that, you know, and some people. I'm getting tired of bikini look.
I mean, how
I
many butts
like
can you look at in a
women.
show?
I like muscles. I like jack women. You know
Uh,
what? We look good. The little ones, they look good in some ways, but when I'm with
The
my jack
little
women,
ones. That's great. Is the way to put it. The little ones. I love it.
But again, how much of that can you look at? How much of it can you look at? How much can you take? It's like, they walk slow, they pose slow. It's like watching paint dry. It just drives me crazy.
yeah.
they can do most muscular. No.
As you know, my opinion of it is my favorite quote. When years ago, when Betty Pariso and this is my favorite quote from my favorite movie, Batman Begins, how she walked quiet behind women's bodybuilding division, stabbed in the heart when she dropped even physique from her shows. Where this is a sport where you get into it, and then you grew success from it. You wouldn't have this success if it wasn't for the IFB NPC. And then, like I said, the story that was told to me by a friend of mine, how when they used to have women's bodybuilding at the Nights of Champions, the Europa Championship, that one day they would have to do a little dance routine for the crowd, and they didn't like it. And the girls were complaining about this and that. And then she told Bev Francis that she had problems. And next thing you know, they both kicked out women's bodybuilding from their shows. It's just this. I understand you don't like the extremists of the sport, but here's the thing. Some of these women and men who do compete in your division, are they going to be natural? If not, some of them still use the same thing as some of the competitors in the IFB NPC, but not at a high level, but they still use it. So if it's not natural, some of them it's going to evolve, just like how bodybuilding evolved, how women's bodybuilding evolved, how physique have evolved. You look at the girls in figure. We talked about this, Keith, Jeremy, we talked about this before, but the girl from the French Canadian girl who was figure. Now she switched over to women's physique. You look at Ashley Jones, who was figure. Now she's physique, then women's bodybuilding. When you start something, the athletes are going to evolve. Just like, Keith, played football a long time. You know how they used to wear the leather pigskins on their heads. Now they have the concussion helmets. The sport is evolving. And I understand you don't like the way it's looking, but here's the thing is, you either, as the science says, you adapt or you die. That's the two choices you have.
Here's a question. She never touched on the subject whether it's natural or not, for one. She never said that. So do we even know?
Just say that. Sometimes they all just say that, natural. When people are saying in your face, I'm all natural, they're not natural. If a natural
thing, we know the NAMBF is a natural federation. We know the OBC is, all these natural federations let you know it's clear. Even like they're putting on, Jack Tatone is putting on a show here in May, a natural pro show. But it's natural. Joe Weider's putting on a show, I think in April, that's a natural pro show. So we know that they're all natural pro shows. We don't know how this thing is going to evolve in one direction or another.
Right.
So it's very vague at this point in time.
Lori, you were gonna say something a minute ago. Mm-hmm. You had raised your hand.
I was just listening. Now I just went totally I was looking at it from a standpoint of this. Like, it depends how you want to compete. To me, it's almost like a life transformation show. Once again, I agree with you. They never made it clear, is this going to be a natural? Are you natural? Are they going to test? Because to me, it just seems like another natural federation. Also, I also think that, as elite athletes, even being a new pro athlete, I come at as an athlete, Olympia, to become pro, to do pro shows, to, one day achieve, maybe just even to get on the Olympia stage. It's like, to me, this would be like more of a body transformation, beach body type division. Maybe for someone who wants to do like a life transformation, kind of thing. I also just want to represent that, we are in this sport. We are the top of our elite. We are going to be a little extreme. I've never met a top athlete in any sport who has any balance or is not striving to be the best of the best. So I also kind of look at it as a monetary thing for people who don't want to work so hard. And, who maybe want to do something a little easier or lighter. I wish everybody success, but, you also have to make room for everybody. And, people come to IFB, they come to Olympia to see the best and the most extreme in the sport.
And it's like, for me, it's like, I understand why someone like Lee would want to do something like that, but then it's like you always see these federations coming out, we're going for a smaller look, or we're going for a softer look, or something like that. But then you would think if people wanted to see that, in Lee Thompson's case, that the Inspire League should have exploded in terms of popularity. I mean, it should be leaving the IFBB, the NPC in the dust, but people don't watch it. So it's like people are saying, we need to make this change, or we need to do so. Who's better financially? The IFBB, the NPC, or the NANBF, or the INBF, WNBF, INPA, PNBA, or all these other amateur federations, that's fine if you want to compete in those. I'm not knocking and saying more power to you if you want to go ahead and compete naturally or without drugs and such. But from the standpoint, where are people shelling out the money? Where are people showing what they're wanting to see? The IFBB and NPC. They're the ones where people are shelling out the money
And here's the
to
problem
watch
is,
this sort of thing.
if it's not natural, most of these companies who are product creators, like who have sell creatine like that, if it's natural, then they don't use some of those products. So how are they going to make the money? You know, like Raycon or Titan Medical or all these others. And then again here about the natural thing is like I interviewed some girls from the OCB. You have to do a lie detector test to see if you're not taking it. Here's the thing about lie detector test. You can beat it. All you got to do is keep calm. You know, either can beat it if you're very control of your heart rate, your stress levels, or you just straight out a psychopath. And you know, your mind's convinced that you believe what you believe in. So that's the way you beat a lie detector test.
Who does she sound like?
Hold up, Keith. Let George finish. Go ahead, George.
So that's the way you can be a lie detector test. Only way you can tell that if somebody is taking something, you have to do blood and piss tests. Like I said, I do content on MMA and boxing. There's a fighters who get busted for steroids because they took a test, they sample hair. You know, somebody could take something, you wouldn't know it. There's so many new drugs out there, you wouldn't know what it is because it's not in the system yet. So the thing is, if it's natural, then you got to pay for the doctors and specialists to test the blood. You got to pay for the technician for the lie detector test if he did them. So that's a cost. So, and who's gonna pay? You know, who's gonna put the money on? I know you got a name, a brand, but still, some people are kind of lurky about investing money in something that's new.
Right, Keith, what were you gonna say?
Here's the thing. Who does she sound like right now, guys? She sounds like fucking Arnold. Arnold done took away.
Arnold.
Arnold took away women's bodybuilding. Arnold done took away women's figure. They're two of the biggest fucking hypocrites in the fucking sport who made them what they are today. And then you want to extract yourself. Like, think about when Arnold was running for governor, what did he do? Went to Ghost Gym and said, take all my shit down. Well, Arnold, you were already on the movie smoking weed. So the shit's already out there. Now you want to cover this shit up. You had women's bodybuilding for many, many, many years and women's figure, wellness. We won't talk about women's physique because that came along later. But you had all these things, and you can go watch videos of him commentary in his own shows. And then you take it away. So she's just doing the same thing. You know, so it's like, come on. You know, it's like who pissed her off is a question. Was it Jim Mannion? You know, was it Tyler? Was it Steve? Who was it that pissed her off? You know, because I know in my region, you know, some people here have gotten shows taken away from them because they weren't doing their job. And so Jack Satone is kind of taking over this region. So again, at the end of the day, did somebody piss her off for her to all of a sudden do this? That's the question that we need to be asking because she sounds like another Arnold Schwarzenegger to me, to be honest.
Trish and Janine, what do you think? Do you think that I mean, she didn't specify whether or not this was a drug tested show or not, but do people really want to see that by and large? Because that's why I asked the question is that if these smaller federations, if people wanted to see drug free or natural bodybuilding, why aren't they bigger than the NPC or the IFBB or generate the same show revenue that they do? So it's like, to me, it's like the numbers. It's like people want to see you big ladies. People want to see guys like Keith. I mean, if they didn't, the IFBB would be the run to the litter when it comes to all these other federations. So what do you and Janine think about that? You think people want to see by and large? Which one do you think people actually prefer to see?
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to pay to go see somebody I could go to the beach and see every day.
Amen.
Cold-blooded, baby.
Sorry.
Hey, you know, I'm not going to say the name, but somebody once told me it's called the basic bitch category. You know, it's like, you know, because anybody can do it. You know, I mean, seriously, anybody can do it.
I'll just go to the mall.
Not everybody can do what all the ladies and the guys on this panel can do. So it's a basic category. Like she said, I can go to the beach and see that shit. I can go to the pool and see that. I can't
You
see
watch your
what
Baywatch.
all these beautiful women on here put on stage can see all the time. So you're right.
Janine, what are your thoughts?
Well, we already have a natural NPC, and
Yep.
we have all that stuff. We have, I believe, a natural pro division as well. So I don't see what the big deal is. Obviously, someone pissed her off because you know how she goes. She's a time bomb,
Yep.
and I don't see the federation going anywhere because where are they going to go after that show? What levels are you doing? Like,
Exactly.
there's so much shit that isn't even explained. So you're promoting this, but yet you don't have all the information for everything to go with it. Hey, we have a 5-tier system, like how we had with the NPC, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 is pro. Like, what is happening with this? And the cost, when I did a natural show, when I first started, my very first show was a WBFF show, joke of my life. But they sat me down and like drilled me to see if I was doing anything, which I wasn't. I was a machine operator, so I had steel cuts on my hands, and they thought I was poking myself like it was retarded. And like, who pays for that? You pay for that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to pay a lot of money for those tests. So, okay, the entry fee says $100. Now you're paying a drug test, which is another $100 and some dollars. Then you're like, there's no sense in the hair and make. You're costing $1,000 before you even step on the stage. Those are the entry fees and stuff. So realistically, I just don't see it. I don't. The whole thing, the video was all scripted on top of it. That was not coming from passion. If you passion and you love a sport, you're gonna fucking talk and be excited. That was so monotone and so scripted with we're reading a teleprompter in that video. Totally, hands down. I watched
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
They are really on point with that because they're reading it. Like I don't.
Yeah, there was. That's like, it reminds me when those New York Times articles came out about female bodybuilding, and it's like people were saying, "Oh, this is the expose we needed. Oh, this is going to change things." And then apparently there was this high-priced lawyer out in Los Angeles who was taking this class action lawsuit that they were going to take to the IFBB and NPC. And I looked at all of that and said, "Yeah, right. Sure they are." I said, "Yeah, right. Sure they are." And sure enough, what happened? You have like 5 or 6 articles coming out about this, and what? What changed?
Yeah.
What happened? Nothing.
Remember the expo came on
It's like-
CSNBC. The expo came on CSNBC about women's bodybuilding and how they were not being fair monetarily, prize money, and all the things they had to go through. And then what happened? They got rid of women's bodybuilding because it pissed Jim Mannion off. That's what happened.
I think
and then they brought in women's physique.
Yeah, and I think that what needs to be talked about too is, like everybody needs to be on the same page. I talked about this on George's show, like before, is that the judges need to follow the same criteria that is on the website that has been there for 40, 50 years, of saying what each category is and what they expect of it. And the crossovers, we talked about that too, Jeremy, with the crossovers and
right.
all meshing together. You got to fix the problem from the ground up. It's not from the top to the bottom. It's from the ground up. So you have to reintegrate those rules and explain about crossovers, or just like not have crossovers, but all the promoters want the money, right? Because it's $150 a class. So if you cross over 4 times, you're making a shit ton of money. And that's how they're keeping their shows open as well. Because I know that if they don't have over 100 athletes in a show, the show gets canceled or moved on. I remember them capping stuff out. I remember hearing about that. Not sure if it's 100% true, but you hear things. So with the crossovers, it makes you look like you have a lot more athletes, which you really don't. You're just bringing in more money. You know what I mean? So I think what needs to be done is everything needs to be how it's supposed to be. If they want female bodybuilders being 10 pounds lighter, then send the letter out to the female athletes. Send the letters out to the male athletes. What is it that you're wanting us to look like? And let us try to achieve that and be awarded accordingly and bring the prize money up for the athletes. I mean, we all bring in the money. Nobody's advertising us. Our own selves are advertising ourselves to shows. Or sometimes we don't even advertise for that because we don't want the distraction. But if someone else is doing it, it's not the distraction for the athletes, if that makes sense.
Maria, what are your thoughts? You've been quiet over here. So what do you think about Do you think it's like these federations come out and they say, "Oh, well, we want to take this in a better direction," and they say, "Oh, we don't want to take a less extreme direction," but then those same ones they either die on the vine as opposed to as like the Inspire Sports League, or there are these much smaller federations that are natural, that are, or at least they say they are. They're drug free and they're natural, but not nearly as many people go to them. Not nearly as many fans show up. They have nowhere near the money as something like the IFBB and NPC. So what do you think? Do you think people? It's like when they say, "Oh, we're coming to change things," but then nothing changes. Why do you think that is?
Janine was right about, what she said is following the criteria of judging, especially for female bodybuilders, like women's physique and female bodybuilders. Like now, it's for me. I pick a show for next year, but it's really hard to compete with the new athletes now that it's a lot bigger. That I don't know where is the criteria of the judging where you have to come, you separate the physique from female bodybuilding to women's bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Women's bodybuilding, when I see comparison, it's almost they kind of look like a female bodybuilder because they are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Our age is old. I'm 50, God damn it. And I cannot compete with the young birds no more. And
Mm.
it's a lot harder for me to compete in the open category. I will go to masters now because of, again, what are the judges are looking for. It doesn't meet when I present myself to the judges. Okay, I think this is women's physique, and then a new athlete will come in and holy shit, she's almost kind of like a female bodybuilder to me. So sometimes when athletes like are me, I already accept that I'm not gonna win a pro show. First, I'm fucking short. I'm short and it's really hard. It's really hard. So
Yeah.
my plan is to go to Masters Olympia, but again, Masters Olympia should have prioritized the old ladies like us to just
The
do the
Masters,
right thing.
right? You would think the Masters Olympia would prioritize the Masters.
The
So
Masters. And
right.
what does the Master look like?
Mm-hmm.
We have more muscle maturity, right? So you gotta separate that criteria, what they're looking for Masters Olympia. Well, my body is not open anymore. I'm old. So this is the reason why some of I think the female bodybuilders in IFBB Federation or whatever that be trying to go to the other federation. Why? It's not for me, it's not about winning no more. It's just I love competing. I love to be the feeling in being on the stage. I love the drive. I love the intensity of being on stage to post. And I got my fix.
Mm.
So if I'm not gonna be getting attention or at least, being in the top 10 of Masters Olympia or whatever that competition is, what is the point of me wasting my freaking money? Like there is no money in this sports. It's just the love and the passion that all
Mm-hmm.
of us are bringing in the stage. To see my Iron Sisters on the show, we are all depleted, we are all happy, and the feeling is like getting married again. It's that. Some
Mm.
people that are not passionate about the sport, well, they can go to other people, the other federation, which is okay, you can go there, but for me, I like to be with my most muscular ladies that I can see myself. This is a reunion for me.
Mm. Then to go with what Janine said earlier, it's like they say they want changes. The thing that is so maddening for me, because I've followed this now, women's bodybuilding have now followed 41 years altogether, and just coming up, and that's the maddening thing. They've done that. They 5 times, 1994, 2000, 2004, 2015, 2016, they come out with these memos, like you said, Janine, and they're saying, oh, well, we want to see this change. We want to see that change. We have the 20% rule. We want to see a 20% reduction in muscularity. Then they come out with the same thing in 2015, only this time it's a 10 to 15% reduction. They keep coming out with this thing, and yet we're not seeing it on stage. It's like there's a disconnect between the powers that be and the actual judges who were on the panels.
Well, it's
And
kind
it's
of like what we talked about, Jeremy. It's like not to cut you off, but it's kind of like what we've been listening to Bob Sugarroll and Isabel talk about, right?
mm-hmm.
And I just got through talking to somebody about this as well. It's like Bob Sugarello said, what? I'm a judge. If I have a sheet of paper, so let's say you're a promoter of a show, especially an Olympia qualifier or any show for that matter, and you're a promoter. And like I play in the NFL, and the owners always 2 or 3 times a year they meet to go over the rules and things they want changed and this, that, and that. So how hard is it for the IFBB or the NPC to create a sheet for every category? So as I'm sitting there as a judge, instead of having all this goddamn scratch paper and figuring out what I'm looking at to check off a box for the competitors in that class, their muscularity, their density, their presentation, their this and their that and the other. It makes it easier for us because now we know as a judge what the NPC and the IFBB wants us to look at. But that's the problem. If you got 7 people on the judging panel, all with different ideologies about what they like and what they like and what they should be actually looking at, lies the problem. That is like the problem in this sport for a long time. But if, like Bob said, who created, by the way, ladies, who created women's physique, because they had a discussion on him and Isabel, and he said, if you have a sheet of paper to sit here and say, this is what, and Maria's right. Women's physique has went so extreme that when I'm looking at women's physique, especially the pros, I don't know what women's physique is and what women bodybuilding is anymore because they kind of blend together. You know what 212 is because they're smaller, and you know what open is for men because they're bigger. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to women's physique and women's bodybuilding and almost women's figure, you don't actually know what you're looking at anymore because nobody really knows the look they should be chasing after. And I mean, think about who's the champion now. Sarah's the champion now. What did Sandy say? I don't want any cross striations in the women's glutes. But hell, have anybody seen Sarah's glutes? They're cross striated to the goddamn bone.
Let alone the entire top 5.
Exactly.
So
what are we talking about? So if you have that sheet of paper and that criteria at which we should, as judges, should be looking at, we have a clear pass interference is pass interference in the NFL. Roughing it, I mean, there's so many rules in the NFL when I played, and even more rules, but the referees know what they are. As judges, it's even worse because you're looking at, especially bikini, I'm looking at 20-something girls, which is crazy, and men's physique and all this other stuff. But I'm going based off of what I like to see, not what the criteria is. And so I've been on judging panels where I've argued with other judges about, this is what we're supposed to be looking at. When I lived in Minnesota, they would send an athlete to nationals or junior nationals, or junior USA, and they would get their ass smoked. Because they like this look, but that's not what the look of a national level competitor is or an IFBB competitor is. And they would come back like, what happened? Well, because they didn't judge you the way they should have judged.
Lori, you had your hand raised. What did you want to say?
Oh, well, my first thing is I didn't get into bodybuilding to get smaller. So this thing where they, and it's just, I'm like, it's not like I go into bodybuilding. You know, every year as I put on muscle, my training progresses. So I think it's the evolution of the sport to progress your body to the size that you can get with keeping that bodybuilding aesthetic. I did have a question for people. As far as criteria. Now, I know that women's bodybuilding and women's physique gets removed from a lot of shows because the divisions are sponsored. And so promoters have to, I'm a new pro, so I'm learning all these curves and you guys can help me. So they have to pay for each division, each promoter does, right? And then, so if there's not enough competitors or they're not making enough money, they remove that division. So I heard like Triple Dynasty is removing women's physique this year.
They are.
I haven't heard anything
They
about
are.
women's bodybuilding. So if someone could maybe explain this more to me, and then people out there could learn more about it too. So, and what we go through and why divisions get removed and added.
Okay, go ahead. Anybody.
Okay.
Keith's got his hand up, so.
So this is a true story. I just did the Legion Fest about 2 or 3, 4
You
weeks
are
ago.
Jack Giff. You are so big.
Thanks. You know, it's off season now, so I'm getting fatter. But here's the thing. I literally, because my wife's a pro bodybuilder, I literally went up to, and Chris's Mims show is amazing. Had every category but women's bodybuilding. And I went up to Chris Mims and asked him this question directly. And there's a lot of people around me when I asked him, I said, why don't you have women's bodybuilding? He says, when somebody is willing to give me $20,000 to put it in the show, I'll put it in the show because I don't have enough money. I've seen Alex and Jessica from Wings of Strength there. So hopefully that's a positive thing because they came at the second part of the show and I seen them and I gave them both hugs. And I'm like, I said, this is a perfect place for you guys to put women's bodybuilding.
Oh yeah, you get, because there's such local bodybuild. There's a lot of bodybuilders that, you know, if there are more shows in California and top, yeah.
And I said, well, I said, Chris said he made $20,000, and then the next response I got from Alex goes, I need $20,000 too. So I don't know, what that meant, but again, it's a perfect show. But from a promoter who promotes a lot of shows on the West Coast, that was his. To your answer was, if somebody gives me 20 grand, I'm welcome to put them in the show. So.
And to confirm what was said, what you said, Lori, here's a clip that I took from the Triple O Dynasty page. This is Sydney Guion, and is answering because people were asking the same question. I said, wait a minute, there's no pro WPD next year, and this was her reason as to why. She said, we had WPD last year, only a handful of people showed up. If we can find a sponsor for the category, we definitely will add it back in. So it's not like they were trying to remove it on any philosophical grounds. It's just money. It's
No,
just
they're trying
to figure out why. Yeah.
Yeah. So
because
that people are basically, they're removing the divisions because financially they're not making sense.
Because the IFBB charged sanction fees for every category. So like Chad Nichols had the first year Muscle Mayhem, he had women's bikini, pro bikini. Then he had the next year he brought in men's open bodybuilding, which was a great turnout. Then the next year he had it again. But because of these sanction fees, if they don't have the money, when promoters are trying to make money, so a lot of times what people have to understand is when you're saying these pro-ams are, the money is generated by the NPC. It's not generated by the IFBB pros. So then they can pay the pros. So if they have, that's why, if you notice, most shows are pro-ams now because they know they're going to get a lot of NPC competitors. But at the end of the day, the promoter says, well, fuck, I brought the pros in, but all I did is break even. So if they have a sponsor like Wolfpack who sponsors wellness and bikini, and we know their company is doing well, then the promoter says, absolutely, I can put them in the show. And so that's why Chris Mims said that to me. And even Tina looked at him and goes, so when are you going to have women's bodybuilding? He says, when somebody's willing to sponsor it and give me 20 grand.
Trish, I had a couple questions for you. What do you think of the whole situation where it's like, and you're as a WPD competitor, I mean, this affects you too, is that, why do you think it is that all the time, every time they keep coming out with these memos or every time they keep coming out with these changes, but then they don't do anything? And then it goes the polar opposite direction of what they're talking about. Why do you think, what's your take on it? Is it just like Keith was saying, that the judges are just going by personal preference, or what do you think the reason is for that? And then also, in relation to the fact that now Triple O Dynasty has removed WPD, what are things that you think can be done to be able to bring that back, or who are some people to get in hold of to see whether or not they can get enough of a sanction fee to be able to bring that back at that show?
I mean, I find it interesting because every show I've ever done, I went pro in 2010, and in the women's physique, the first year it came out. And when I went pro, I was 97 pounds because that's what they were looking for. And now I'm 112 pounds. I'm still going to be by far, the smallest. I'm only 4'11". So that just shows you right there, right? So that just shows right there, like how small I am. And so for somebody like me, I can't get huge and I don't want to be huge. And so for me, I'm going to get as big as I want to get. And however I do, that's just how I do. Um, and I think that we do need a few more people like that who are not wanting to go that extreme. When I was talking to some of the judges before, they always tell me, well, we just have to judge what's in front of us. And it may not be what we actually want, but that's all we have to go off of.
And that's
So,
true.
Okay.
that's part of it, I think. But yeah, I mean, rewarding, if you have one girl that's freaking shredded on this side and everyone else is softer, they're going to go for the softer look.
Yeah.
They're not
Common
necessarily going to go
denominator.
for,
Common
yeah.
denominator.
Here's a question for you in relation to that. This will throw this out for all the ladies especially. In relation to what you're talking about, what is your take on Sharonica Hinton and her placing at the Women's Physique Olympia? Because she came in, not only when she won her qualification at the New York Pro, but also there, she came in with what could be considered a classic WPD look, along the same lines. Another one who does the same thing is Dr. Autumn Swanson. She
Yeah.
also tries to do that, and that she got top 3 with what would be considered to be a smaller look, very much different than Sarah or Natalia. So do you think that
Yeah.
that's along the lines of what you're talking about? And would you like to see, as a WPD pro, would you like to see more of that? Or did you think, based on what they've been rewarding, did somebody else deserve that spot other than her?
I feel like they just keep rewarding people getting bigger. And I don't necessarily think that is what the division needs.
No.
You know, when they first started this division, they wanted to clearly separate it from bodybuilding and from figure. They wanted it to be a more muscular figure girl, with the figure quarter turns. That was the whole idea behind women's physique, was to do figure quarter turns with open-handed feminine bodybuilding poses downsized.
Yep.
And that's not where we're going in that direction now. So,
Yeah.
I think that it's important to maybe go back to where it was supposed to be. And I wish that they would.
Now, in relation to sir, real quick, in relation to what Keith was saying, as far as the money goes, I just wish, as a fan, because I'm just a fan on the outside looking in. I'm not an insider or anything like that. I know for a fact that there are guys who are fans of this, who are on the down low. Who I was a closet fan of this for 22 years. I didn't want anybody to know about it. I didn't even tell my own family about it because, I mean, not only are you ladies not accepted by society, but we guys who come out and say that we're fans of you, we get all these weird looks, and we basically get pushed to the side as well. There are guys who are fans of you ladies. They have got deep pockets. But the thing is, they were exactly like I was. They're in hiding because they don't want to get the social stigma of that. And they could take care. These guys are so loaded, they could solve this problem. They could solve the financial. They could. They could
Well, give them a
solve this
call.
financial problem.
Call
Well,
them.
the thing is,
Give me their
they're,
number.
but they're afraid to show their faces. They're afraid to show who they are. What are some things that can be done to get them out of their shell?
Put a
In
mask.
order to, and to be able to get them so that they wouldn't have a problem coming out and sponsoring stuff like the Legion or these other shows or the Triple O and such like that. What do you think can be things that can be done for us fans to be able to do that? What are some solutions that we could be able to help, that we would like to, but we're just financially hamstrung and can't do that? What are some solutions that we the fans, in your opinion, could do?
They could start a page. They could start, there could be a place where they donate the money for the shows.
Yeah, it
You
can
know,
be an anonymous.
Anonymously,
Yeah.
if they want
But
to.
I just think the irony of how much we accept in civilization now in our cultures, that I just feel like we're so, at any point in like history have we been more accepted than we are now. Like I have people stop me all the time and tell me how spectacular I freaking look on a daily basis. And so to me to still be like scared to support us, to me is ironic, because so much with our society is supposed to be about acceptance now. But I think it's, like you said, there are some people that are really big fans, and they could really step up to the plate and help these divisions if they wanted to. So I think maybe promoting ourselves a little bit more. I think that some of the women are correct. Like, we don't like to be distracted. We enjoy our training. Love hate relationship with social media, and putting yourself out there. But I do. I try to interact with fans, putting myself a little bit more out there, even if but with balance, of course, to promote the sport a little bit more. So, and then I just, yeah, and like Janine was saying, something that's maybe more anonymous, where you can just support a division. Like, hey, we're raising money for this division, and people can come in and donate if they and support the division, like open
Keith,
class. Like,
Keith, what do you think? Do you think that would be a good idea for a donation page, or
Here,
what are
here's
some things that what are some things your average fan, not
here's the
necessarily
here's
one of these little guys, what can we do?
here's the problem with women's bodybuilding. It's just like on Georgia's show, and hopefully yours show is more successful. And here's the difference as being an IFBB pro men's bodybuilding open and now masters, is that we put ourselves out there. When you listen to the new champion Samson Duas, I think he's 38 now, started competing in 2018. He has this thing, and I watch it every single day. He does this thing that he goes on Facebook and he's talking, he's answering questions, and he's doing all this other stuff. You ladies don't do that. There's a
exactly.
lot of pro guys that do that, and now including myself. I have my daily rants and all this other stuff. I shoot my workouts and all this other stuff. Maria I watch Maria's stuff live on IG all the time, but not a lot of women do that. I just start seeing Angela Yo start doing it as she won the world championships and it was going into the Olympia, that she started doing it more. Popularity and understanding a familiarity of what we're doing is big time. I remember one year Dexter, when he was a champion, sitting at the Olympia Meet the Fans deal, and he was like, I'm not an ambassador of the sport. I'm just an athlete. That's not it. That's not it. You are an ambassador of your sport. So being an ambassador of your sport means you got to get out there, educate people on what you guys do is a big thing. If you look at the men's side versus the women's side, there's a lot more, exposure. And Samson does his own shit. He doesn't, he's with Hostile and all this stuff, but he does his own shit on a daily basis. I do my own stuff on a daily basis. When you don't do that, it becomes taboo. When you ladies start doing that, and I'm not saying you particular ladies, but when you get out there and people start understanding and Tina's the same way. She only follows certain people. She doesn't post hardly anything and this and another. It kind of makes it like, you guys are not relevant, but relevant because nobody's really understanding what you guys are doing. And I'm saying this because I told even Samson, I was in a car accident 2 years ago. I said, dude, I was in bed for 2 years and went through 5 surgeries. And he inspired me so much because I thought I was going to not compete anymore. I said, and I can show you all the snaps and all the messages between us. I go, you inspired me to get off my ass and to get back in the gym and start working out and get in the best shape of my life. But that's because what he was doing. When you're not doing that and you're not inspiring anybody but yourself, this is the outcome. The sport will die. And that's just facts. You ladies have to get out there. It's like, I've said this on Georgia's show a million times. Why don't you this is the most women, which is awesome to see these 4 women on your show, come on your show and talk about what they do. That is exposure for you. That is exposure for the sport. But you don't see that in the women's categories whatsoever, especially women's physique and women's bodybuilding. And that lies the problem.
There is,
I agree.
and
Yeah.
in relation to what you said, I agree with you because I'm convinced now. I think something, and I saw this girl. I wish I could have saved the video, but in terms of what you said, ambassadorship, all she does is she goes out and finds these well-traveled thoroughfares, like a pier on a beach, or she'll go to a town square, and she just has a friend of hers that comes and films her, and it has a box that says Art of Muscle, and she's out there in shorts and halter, and she just poses. She'll go out for like an hour a day. She'll go like an hour a week, and will just pose. and
here's the thing.
show herself to other people, and then there's a crowd that gathers, then she has an opportunity to talk with them. Another example would be what happened in Brazil 15 years ago. A group of female bodybuilders in Brazil, led by, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Selma Labat. They gathered together and they formed their own little group called Gladiadores de Ferro, and they
Right.
went.
Love the name.
They're in Sao Paulo. It means Iron Gladiators,
That's
and they went to South. It was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. A group of 15 of them went out to what their Central Park. I'm trying to remember what it's called, and they had a training session. They brought out some dumbbells and such like that. They roped off an area and they just did essentially a muscle beach right there in front of everybody, gathered a crowd, and then Selma got up. She had a microphone and she talked to people. She said, here's who I am. Here is what we are. Here is why I'm in this. Why do I like this? Why do I look? We're willing to, if anybody has any questions, please come up to us. That's ambassadorship. That's getting out there in the public. And it's like, if more people would do what that one woman was doing, I think it would be a better situation, because the public is not going to come to you. You got to go to the public. You got to make yourselves known. I completely agree with Keith. But it's like, but unfortunately, it just seems like everyone hides in the gym rather than do that. So
Here's
so
the thing.
safe there.
I've been watching this bullshit for the last
Lord.
3 days. One of my buddies sent me
Just so
about
cute.
this guy who was walking through the Olympia, like doing a height and weight on like people like Michael Hearn, who I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck Michael Hearn is and what his fucking accomplishments are and why people follow him. But you have these now gym influencers, they call them, on social media, who have these huge followings, like this guy Stacks something. I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. I'm like, who is this Stacks guy? You know, but he's walking around the expo and everybody wanting to take picture with him. But here's what these guys do. They go and interact with people. These gym influencers go to these expos and interact with people, and they get these huge followings. I don't even know who the fuck none of these guys are. But if you go to their Instagram pages or their Facebook pages, they have like 1 million followers, and they're not even relevant in our sport. So I'm talking about, you got these gym influencers who are not even relevant in our sport, who don't even compete, and have all these people following. And that's what the point I'm trying to make is, that's how you become relevant, by making yourself relevant.
Nine, Willow.
What'd you say, Janine?
Oh, that's her pet, I guess.
Into my dog. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay. But what do you ladies think of that idea? Like, if people made a regular commitment, if more women made a regular, in bodybuilding and in physique and even in fitness and figure, if they made an ongoing regular commitment, whatever it would be, like once a week, once a month, something like that, to come to one of these public places and do what this girl did and just pose and show themselves to people. And if more of them did that, do you think that would help more? Or is that just naive idealism on my part? If more women made
Maria
that
does
commitment
it.
to do that. Yeah, Maria does.
it.
But I mean, I'm talking about in public. I'm talking about
Yeah.
like out in the street, basically. Do you think that would help? Do you think more? Because it's like, to me, it's like people are, one of the reasons why bodybuilding struggles is not only do they not know about it, they don't care about it because they don't see it. Do you think that would help? If more women went out and basically showed everybody, did the same thing this girl did, came out there with a guy with a camera and just posed for a while. I mean, yeah, it would start us off, but do you think the long term that could have a better impact as to getting you ladies more noticed and then also consequently more support? What do you think?
Are we gonna get paid?
Are we gonna get paid?
What did you say?
She said, "Are we going to get paid?"
On your
You
own.
don't have to do things for free to make an impact. It's not
What is
all-
that?
Sometimes you have to do things for free to make an impact. It's not all-
Here's the thing. If
You have
you
to put
guys
in your
don't,
blood, sweat, and
Hold on, Keith. Hold up, Keith. Let Janine finish. What were you going to say?
I said sometimes you have to do things for free in order to make an impact, and then build
Absolutely.
from there. I mean, I've sat down. I mean, I have my mindset courses. I have all my books I've written. I've sat down and done a lot of stuff for free to educate people. So and then later on it comes back to you. So the same thing it would be for that, but just figuring out maybe what your niche is in the sport even.
Do you think that would work? Like if you made a commitment to go out and pose in public, do you think that would have a long-term effect along those lines, or do you think that would is that just naive idealism on their part? Janine?
I think there's a time and a place for it. I think if there was, say, an event, like say for instance an art gallery show, and you're in shape, you could use your body as the artwork for that event to bring awareness into the sport. Doing it out on the street, I don't see it happening, just being honest, because living where I am in Tampa, everyone's moving and grooving. Nobody gives a shit about anybody. It's kind of just like New York. I mean, the only guy that is really popular is that naked guitar singer dude down in town.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing I remember. But I think if it comes to, if you're wanting to get out there, I think it's about, one, networking and getting it into the right eyes of people to see it not just as a sport, but as art. So if there's a big sporting event, you could have something out there and do something that way, or just have certain posts a week, you know, and just get it probably in the right, you know, reposting and all that kind of stuff and get it out there. Sometimes just having a trailer and reposting that trailer over and over again, right? Using some of your old footage. See, yeah.
he agrees with you.
100%.
Trish, what do you? Sorry, Maria, go ahead.
So I did a music video with BB No Money. I don't know if you guys know BB No Money. He's actually he's from Vancouver, Canada. So anyway, he have this music video, Edamame. Are you familiar with it?
Sorry, but no.
Yeah. So Edamame it's actually in what do you call this, in Instagram. So anyway, we did this music video 3 years ago when I was still very jack. Now I'm a little bit fluffy. So the video is all about all bodybuilders, and they shoot it in the gym. And recently, a week ago, he had a concert here in Vancouver for fundraising, and they raised a good amount of money. So the three of us, we got in the concert, and Alex, his BB No Money, said, Maria, you're gonna be beside me. You have to connect with the fans. You just keep flexing and stuff. So it was a really good exposure for the bodybuilders, because people, a lot of us, when they saw me, I'm short and I got muscle, and I was just like doing almost muscular on the stage. And again, it's exposure. It's not about the money that they did not pay much, but your exposure. Now I have a lot of followers from producers and directors from that concert itself. And again, Keith was right. What you put out there, like, not only you are just grinding in the gym or doing this influencing kind of thing, but putting yourself out there, that there will be some market to probably opening for a movie for bodybuilding, a commercials, or all those stuff. So again, what I see in the female bodybuilding is there is this jack women that have potential probably to become famous, but it's always cooped up on the gym. So you gotta go out there and see for yourself. If it's not only, okay, I'm Jack, I can only do a gym gig, but not only that, I did a commercial for Pfizer, which is I was just benching for almost an hour and end up just benching a fake plates because I was so tired. I was so tired. And again, that opens up with me the reason why I'm getting into this a lot of commercials and gigs with music videos. The music videos, by the way, they don't get paid much, but the pharmaceutical, they get paid and you get royalty if they use your commercial again. And again, putting yourself out there, not to just focus on the fitness, not to focus only on the gym, but use this as a tool if you are competing. Use your physique, your body as a tool for other businesses.
Hmm.
Here's the
Trish and
thing.
Trish.
Oh,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Keith. I was going
Sorry.
to have one question. Trish and Lori, what do you
Mm.
think? What are some ideas? What I was talking about earlier. Do you think what's your opinion on that? If women went out and did that sort of thing, would it work? Or if it didn't, what are some ideas that the two of you would have as far as ambassadors, as getting out there in society? Getting the word about female bodybuilding and women's physique and educating people in the public. What are some ideas that you would have for ambassadorship? Or what are some things that I think people would do, could do, and should be doing?
Well, I mean, I know for me, I consider myself a bit of an ambassador just in my area, as far as like I'm one of the only women gym owners around, right? So I am in a male dominated industry and I own, my gym. I offer weightlifting classes and I promote women with muscle as far as like that look and teaching women how to be strong. It's just not always just about appearance and look, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I believe that's an important part. I don't believe if I go out and pose in the street, I'm going to attract a bunch of shit ton of people and they're all going to stop for me. I'm 4'11",
Okay.
you
Right.
know.
You have to stand on the
So,
box.
yeah, right. I mean, there
Okay,
might be
this
like
is
a
about
couple that are
testing.
tall.
Okay. What do you think, Lori?
Um, I embrace the fact that we, as bodybuilders, we come with far more talent than just being jacked all the time in the gym. I like to go to numerous gyms and just be approachable to people. I do, if I'm training specifically, I'm in my training, but I always, before and after, make myself like super approachable to people who want to ask questions. We have a lot of energy and we have a lot of discipline and talent that we bring in nutrition, discipline. Um, our age being masters, we are, we can promote our health, but I also do need to also embrace, I think the younger women competitors coming up in bodybuilding and how they tend to have more popularity, and you see them, they do go live, they talk about what they're eating, they what they're doing in their day. People want to see what we do, they want to see our lifestyle, like and I think it's, for me personally, getting out there and doing it more, like making it part of my scheduling in my day, and having live question sessions. I've seen younger women do that, competitors, and showing what they eat in a day or showing them preparing a meal, stuff like this. I think something as a master's, because I'm from a certain generation, maybe I'm not used to doing. I need to start getting used to doing. Um, you could also talk to, and I was just thinking this while you were talking about going out, like I wouldn't, as where I live in California, it's kind of like you're sitting on a corner, dude. It's not going to attract the right kind of attention. But going to your local small health food stores, GNCs and stuff like that, and go, hey, I would like to come here, and would it be a time that I could come here and talk to customers and hang out for a little bit? I know a lot about products. Is there a product that I can help you promote? Stuff like that, and I'm probably the biggest criminal of knowing I should do this stuff and be doing this stuff more, because that's the kind of stuff that's going to promote your sport. Because once you're out there and talking, people just want more and they want to keep asking more. So
Hmm.
yeah, and using those tools that are out there. And I'm watching, and I tend to follow other younger competitors, like bodybuilders that are coming up. Um, and watching how they do their social media, and it is really interesting. And they for us, I think, as me as a certain age, I would think of it as overexposure, and sometimes it seems a little uncomfortable or something, but at the same time it's kind of cool. I'm like, okay, I need to start embracing that energy and putting that in my schedules, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so that's kind of like my personal, that would be my kind of view on it.
Okay. Keys, what are
Well, here's the
some,
thing.
based on what's been shared so far? What do you think?
Here's the thing. Kai Green would be the dude that goes to the subway station, and if you ever watching his YouTube, people just like be in the subway station posing. You know, Kai Green is like in my opinion, before Samson came along, some of these other games was the fan favorite, especially when Generation Iron came out. You know, and that was my rookie season in bodybuilding. Everybody loved Kai because Kai was the most approachable person. The best advice, the first year that Kai didn't do the Olympia, we did a CT Fletcher event in Las Vegas, and the Olympia was there that year. And you know what Kai said to me with CT Fletcher? He said this: use the sport for what you can get out of the sport, not what the sport can get out of you.
Exactly.
Meaning, you need to brand yourself. And Kai Green's net worth is worth more now than when he was competing. I think it's like 12, $13 million because he understood that the sport that he was in was a platform, but also it was something that he doesn't need the sport. Dana Lynn Bailey, she doesn't need the sport anymore. You know, there's certain Ronnie Coleman, he doesn't need the sport. Jay Cutler, they don't need the sport because they understood, even though they were great bodybuilders, they used the sport for what they needed to get out of it, not just the IFBB sucking the life out of them, right?
Yes.
And so, so when I just watched yesterday, Samson was going to China. He's in China today, and he says, "I've been doing this thing every day since 2018, since he started competing." Guess what? He's now Mr. Olympia at the age of 38, and I don't see him losing anytime soon. But what inspired me to watch this guy is his journey. What he was going through, you know, walking his dog, like literally walking his dog in the park, hanging out with his wife. Everybody put his wife on blast that she couldn't bring him into the show. Guess what? Now everybody's reneging on their statement because his wife, he trusted to bring him into the show, now he's Mr. Olympia. But he journalized his life so people can see it's just not me being in the gym working out. It's about, you know, walking my dog. Janine has a dog, walking her dog, you know, cooking her food, going to the gym, traveling across country in his McLaren, you know, all these things. And guess what? He not only won the Mr. Olympia, but he also won the most popular and most liked bodybuilder in the world because he put his life out there for people to see that it's just not this part of his life, him getting a haircut, him getting a massage. Guess who used to do that? Ronnie Coleman used to do that back in the day. You know, so it's, you know, people have to understand in our sport, it's also a popularity contest with people.
Thank you.
It's not just going to the gym. It's what people like. And so when people sit there and they sit there watching your life and watching your journey, it makes you a more likable person. It makes them be able to understand what we're doing as pros and as athletes. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I took away from all the things I've seen him do, all the things I've seen Ronnie do, all the things I've seen a lot of guys do who are like Kai Green, and he's the pioneer of it. He was the most popular guy of it, you know, because, you know, he was going to the dollar store, buying plastic containers, putting his food in it with Dave Palumbo, you know. So when I start watching a dude who started off homeless, living in a men's homeless shelter, and now his net worth is almost 13 or $14 million, because Kai understood being a people's person is more important than sometimes being a champion. And that's why he's at where he's at in his life right now. And again, his words to me were, use the sport for what you can get out of the sport, not what the sport can get out of you.
And in relation to that, is everybody here familiar with a show over on Netflix called Stranger Things?
Yes.
This is like one of the most, that's not only one of the most popular shows on Netflix, but while it was going, there's a season 5 that's going to be coming out. It's one of the most anticipated shows in the world now because of that. And Kai Green was on an episode of that. And so it's like that single episode gave him. It's like that to show the popularity of that show. It's like they have so many 80s references. They mentioned a show that was popular in the movie in the 80s called The Never-Ending Story, and they had the theme song for that. That shot to the top of the Billboard charts.
Yep.
And this is like a song from 40 years ago. Same thing with Metallica, Master of Puppets, which also appears there. Again, because of the popularity of this show, it's like all these old 80s references just became so popular. So it's like, I'm not surprised if that one episode just helped promote Kai Green to the nines, because they're all asking, who is this super jacked guy on this episode?
And the funny thing that
So-
you say that is I was in Generation R in the first one that came out my rookie season, and I remember Kai Green, or not Kai Green, but Phil Heath saying, and because Dennis Wolf, that they flew him to LA to do like like try to audition for a movie, and Phil said the problem with the people in our sport, you know, and that's our sport in general, male, female, whoever, is that we so focused on this and not focused on the broader picture of what we can be doing. You know, Tina's being casted for Wonder Woman right now. Like, you know, they're casting her for Wonder Woman right now because of a picture that they've seen on her, and she gets these auditions and all this other stuff because of her appearance and what she's doing outside the world of bodybuilding. So when you put yourself out there, I mean, we've been on the phone with Robert Downey Jr., Steven Spielberg, Johnny Depp. You know, on Zoom calls with these guys, talking to her, asking her questions, because they're trying to cast her as the new Wonder Woman that's coming out soon, that Brandon, I guess. But again, at the end of the day, when you put yourself out there and not live in this box that us as competitors want to live in, you're never going to get the exposure. And exposure, here's the thing, and we've talked about this, Jeremy. We talked about this on George's show. The IFBB is not going to give us the exposure that we need. The exposure that we need comes from us.
Right.
We are subcontractors of the IFBB in essence. So if we're not putting ourselves out there, and I remember, you know, Dave Palumbo fed me some bullshit a long time ago when I was an amateur and I was competing against Michael Locke at the Junior Nationals. I said, how am I going to beat this guy? Because this guy, everybody loves this guy. He's so popular. He goes, let your body speak for itself. I go, you're full of shit. Because when you're popular and the judges know that, they're going to go, if it's close, they're going to go his way. Because I didn't know anything about that at the time or really know about the sport because I was just getting into it. So as this sport has evolutionized over 15, 16 years as I've been in this sport, the shit's all coming to fruition now. And it's now making sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just agreeing with Keith. You know, yes, I hate to put people off a little bit when they go or want to go pro, but it is politics and a popularity contest. If they haven't seen you, if the fans don't like you, and you always see the girls who have the hype behind them, and I've noticed that the younger girls who have the really good social media, I'm not going to name names or anybody, but who get the hype behind them, they get in those top placings because there's hype, and I almost expect that. Like, I'm not mad about that. I get it. It's up to me to promote myself within the sport. And so that people know who I am. When the judges see me, they know who you are. They're familiar with you. The fans like you. They're familiar with you. So it's bringing your best package. It's bringing your best performance, but it's a little bit of politics and popularity contest. And let's just accept that for what it is. And work with and work it. Work it if you're gonna work it. If you don't like the system, get the fuck out. That's the only F-bomb I'm going to drop today.
Right. A great.
Anyway,
sorry, go ahead.
But I do have to take off soon, and I just love all you guys.
Well, thank you for being here. I loved having you. Hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got to get out there, and you got to cut other angles, and so that when they get on stage, they know who you are. They see you. The judges see you, and you do look at how these other younger girls are rolling, the new faces of bodybuilding. I don't really buy into that very much because in 2 years she could be pregnant. So the new face of bodybuilding doesn't work for me, right?
Get it.
Yeah,
right.
The new face of bodybuilding could also be fucking, whatever in 4 years. You can't beat muscle maturity, discipline, and never giving up. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. And
you too, Lori. Thank you so much.
Back.
Yes, I will. It's like that's why I'm hoping that this will grow, and I'm hoping that this will become something that more ladies like yourself would want to be part of, and so that they can get their voices heard and such. But thank you so much for all your insight and your feedback.
Love you guys.
Okay.
Bye.
I'm gonna go too.
Okay. I'll probably wrap this up then.
Yeah, I gotta head out too. I gotta head. I got a client.
Me too.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you very
Bye-bye, Maria.
much. Bye.
Bye-bye, Maria. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, folks. Well, that was the first Femuscle Friday here on the Art of Female Muscle podcast. I'm looking very forward to more of these shows, and I hope that the people who eventually watch this will come over here and watch this live as well as recorded. And thank you all for coming. I appreciate all my guests who showed up. I did not expect this many people, to be perfectly honest. I was expecting one or two, but when so much interest was generated by this, by when I put a post on my page, check out my IG. Check out my IG, the Art of Female Muscle podcast. I'll be posting. That's where I'll post more information about this over on IG, as well as pay attention to videos that I put out here on YouTube. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you will help appreciate the true art that is female muscle. So thank you very much for coming. We're out.